We're live. We're live. Let me have a sip of coffee. We're live, but nobody can hear us yet. Say hello, Leonard.
Hello, Leonard. How you doing? All right. Looking at
It's already going.
It is going.
Yes, it's already going.
How about that? You know, I noticed one thing. That when the Lady and the Legend comes on, everything happens quicker, all right?
I think it's because when we use my phone.
You think it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lady and the Legend.
Now we're early, 3 minutes.
We're a couple of minutes early. The sound is good. Everybody,
Boston Paul, Brewer
everybody
Jim.
Everybody check your sound. Okay, Boston Paul, you were saying. Boston Paul is in. Brewer Jim is here. Chris from Cambridge and Danny Fuller and James Caplion. Malpal is here from the great state of San Diego.
And Tina and Penny.
And Tina and Penny. Rotorius is here. Danny Fuller is here with Penny. Yeah, you're right about that. Rotorius is here.
Brewer Jim is here.
Austin Epstein, Brewer Jim, Smoking King Third. And look at this crowd piling in for the Sunday show, something that we're so proud of. We started doing the Lady and the Legend over at Sirius Radio. They kicked us off, and here we are in a better spot than we were in before. And by the way, this is not, okay, the last show. This will not be the final Lady and the Legend. It will not be the final Lenny Daily podcast. It won't be the final Andrea Saturday. We will continue to go. And what do you think we're going to talk about? We'll talk about baseball and whatever there is that makes a difference in your baseball or fantasy sports life. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Join us. Welcome aboard. Join us every minute of the day. We love your phone calls. We will. What do you mean? Okay. In other words, shut up.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not even 9 o'clock yet.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, and before I give Andy the mic, sincere thank you to everybody for supporting us. When we look in the chat room and we see all the people in the chat room at 9 o'clock, wow, it really makes a difference. So sincere thanks.
It is nice to see everybody. And by the way, today's the last day of the season. It just happens to fall on Lady and the Legend Day.
Yep.
Which is great.
Tommy Johnson is here. Good morning.
Good morning to Tommy Johnson. And someone brought up in the chat room, today is Mark McGuire's birthday. He turned 60 today.
Okay. You know, when I see Tommy Johnson in the chat room,
then you know everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, no, I always think that we got to get some more people podcasting. I know Malpal's working on a big one, but if anybody wants to do a podcast, anybody wants to write an article, come on, everybody. We don't do it for the money. We do it for the love. We do it for the camaraderie. We do it for everything that we have when we're here. And if you want to be part of it, you can. This is your place to be. You can do whatever you like, so just contact me and let's get it going. Okay, now, Andy, let me start it off by asking you a question, okay? Now, Kenny Rosenthal has come out.
God.
What?
All right. What's he saying?
And Kenny Rosenthal says that he thinks the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes comes down to the Mets and the Dodgers.
Give me a break. I'm sure Danny will love hearing that. But
what do you think?
Here's what I think. I think none of these vultures know what they're talking about, okay? Shohei Ohtani has not made it. Why does he ever say why he thinks that? He basically comes out and says he thinks Ohtani's going to go to the Mets or Dodgers, but doesn't give any reason why he thinks that. Possibly because they're the richest teams in baseball. I mean, that is just so lazy. I think he's going to the Mariners, but clearly I don't know anything compared to Rosenthal.
And so you think he's going to the Mariners,
It's
right?
bull dinky and poppycock for anybody to say where he's going.
Okay, I agree with you about that. Now, Leonard Donaldson is here. Eddie Heckman has joined us. Good morning to you
Might
both.
as well say he's going to the Yankees.
Now,
it's just the laziest.
He could be going to the Yankees.
It's the laziest nonsense.
Look, the Yankees, you're talking about teams with money. You're talking about teams who have had miserable seasons. Well, maybe the Dodgers haven't. But certainly the Mets with the
Kenny
new ownership.
Rosenthal says he thinks Ohtani's going to the Mets and the Dodgers. Okay.
Well, it's still
good for you.
It's still going to be
lazy.
Very exciting offseason, okay?
So, but I wish he would say why he thinks that, and then I might give him an inkling of trust. But he doesn't have any reason, and the only reason I can think of is because they have the most money to spend, and they're willing to spend it. So MLB saw the highest success rate of stolen bases in history this year.
Now, what do you think?
Now, don't even try to argue. I know what you're going to do.
Not arguing.
You're going to act like the pizza box bases didn't have anything to do with it.
I think the pizza box bases had nothing to do with it.
Well, it happened, so you have to consider it a possibility.
It's not even. I think the
highest success rate in history.
The reason is because of the
youngsters
limited amount of time you can throw over.
That never happened once. It never happened once. It
stopped pitchers from throwing over, and the smart runners knew it. And if you take a look, the smart runners took advantage of it. It was about the limitations put on pitchers throwing over to first base. It had nothing, in my opinion, to do with the bigger bases.
What do you guys think in the chat room? This will be an argument all off season. Okay. I don't care. The bases being bigger is a much more likely scenario than this idea.
Cut it out.
I would like to know how many times pitchers tried to throw a batter out at first and see if the number went down from previous years.
But the pitchers couldn't throw to first.
It never happened where he got into a situation that he couldn't throw to first because he threw there too many times.
It happened
not once.
They knew that they couldn't throw, so they didn't.
So they didn't try? Not even once?
The runner.
They have 3 times they get to do it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me they just ignored the runner?
But after the third time, the runners knew they couldn't throw back to first.
But they never, ever got up to the third time.
What, are you kidding me?
It would have been all over the place.
Happened plenty of times.
It did not.
It did not.
So you're just saying that they stopped throwing to first?
That was the bigger deal.
No, they threw it to the catcher who got him out then.
All right,
that's
that
what
was the bigger deal.
That's the strategy.
Now, the average time of a 9-inning game is on track to finish at 2 hours and 40 minutes in 2023.
Boston Paul, the smarty, agrees with you.
And that would be a 30-minute decline. Thank you, Boston Paul. Does anybody agree with me? Or
Dodger Danny says the pizza boxes helped.
The pizza boxes.
Go, Dodger Danny. Okay.
Average time of a 9-inning game, 2 hours and 40 minutes, be a 30-minute decline. So you got to say that whatever strategy they put in to try to shorten the game
it worked.
Has worked. You can't deny that. Okay?
It's 24 minutes shorter than last year and 30 minutes shorter than 21. Now, this average time of 2 hours and 40 minutes would be the quickest average time since 1985. When they didn't do anything different. Anyway, 6 of 10 East Division teams are in the postseason.
Yeah.
Astros won, so the Mariners are eliminated, and the American League's 6 playoff teams are set. Orioles, Rays, Jays, Twins, Rangers, Astros. The American League West title will be decided today on the last day, which I don't care what anybody says, makes baseball fun.
Yes, it does. The playoff situation definitely worked out. The Diamondbacks clinched playoff berth. First time since 2017. And the Astros back again. The Astros are remarkable. The defending champion Astros will make their 7th straight postseason appearance.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
And the Marlins now headed to the postseason, so they do not have to resume their suspended game against the Mets. Why in the world would they say, I mean, why didn't they just call that game? It was in the 9th inning, and they said, well, if we have to, we'll play it on Monday.
Yeah.
But I never heard of anything like that. Why didn't they just call the game in the 9th inning?
For what reason?
They always call the game if it's past the 7th inning.
No, they don't. They've gone extra innings. Now,
No, not extra innings. A makeup day. A game that starts in the 9th inning on Monday. Starts in the 9th inning.
But in looking at that game, Tanner Scott, who was an excellent acquisition, locked it down 7-3 over the Pirates. All right. As we do the podcasts this year, we talk about we're preparing for next year as well. And one of the players that has come through loud and clear.
Hi, Eddie.
And if you didn't listen to this podcast, you may not even know about him. Tanner Scott, who at the beginning of the year I thought was going to be a factor in the Miami pitching rotation and the lineup and the whole deal.
No, he wasn't there to begin.
He was on the team, and I thought he was going to be a closer. As it turns out, I believe Tanner Scott is going to be an excellent closer next year. What do you think?
I haven't really looked at him that hard. I didn't know you were going to ask me about him. I would have taken some time to check him out, but I can't honestly tell you the answer because I haven't done any digging on that.
Well, a little digging.
And he's pretty much unknown in my world.
He's a hard thrower. He's a good pitcher. They were thinking about making him a starter. He can throw. He's got a live arm. Tanner Scott, will be an acquisition for me next year in the closing ranks. That's for sure. And Miami, of course, they will not have to, as Andy said, they won't be resuming their suspended game. If the Marlins win Sunday, they are the 5th seed and will play the Phillies. If the Marlins lose Sunday, that's today, the Diamondbacks win, Miami will be the 6th seed and play the Brewers. Okay, so there you go. The Astros shut out the Diamondbacks 1-0. They get to celebrate with their own wild card berth. Seattle Mariners, their season is over. How surprised are you that Seattle didn't make the playoffs?
It's
Andy?
too bad. Last year they made the playoff after a 21 season pause in the playoffs. They were the longest team in any sport to make the playoffs. Anyways, Castillo was knocked out of the game in the 3rd inning. Okay.
Oh boy, that was a tough one.
And I will say this, even though is Unholy here? Can you see Unholy?
I don't think Unholy is here today. I think
check it out.
He's taking a vacation with the triple play being here.
Scroll down.
But I did scroll down.
Oh, that's it. No guests either.
All
right. Unholy is the Cubbies resident of the chat room. All 4 of Clay Bellinger's team that he played on made the postseason. This is the first time ever that Bellinger played for a big league team that didn't make the playoffs, and he's going to miss the postseason for the first time in his career since the Cubbies now are eliminated. But they did. We'll talk a little more for the Cubbies, but they did have a great comeback, and I just got to really love David Ross a lot.
Well, Bellinger's numbers really came back, and the big question is, wow, who's going to go after Bellinger? Now, of course, you've got the situation with who's going to go after the Angels guy. What's his name? You know, the big guy, Ohtani. But Cody Bellinger could be a big lift as a free agent this year. His numbers, especially compared to last year, no comparison. So he says that playing for the Cubs organization and playing in Wrigley Field was special.
Daniel.
He calls that special. So also incredible, Milwaukee comes back. Milwaukee was winning 6-0. Comes back from a 6 to tie the game 6-6. They were losing 6-0. The Cubs were winning. Entering the day, the Cubs are one of 3 teams with multiple losses when leading by 6 runs. Okay? Yankees and the Angels were the other ones.
I have the best tidbit. Yesterday's best tidbit of the day. Can I repeat it for anybody that wasn't here?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
The best tidbit yesterday, followed by the best tidbit today. Yesterday's tidbit was that in the last 10 years, between 2013 and 2022, there were 5 total hitters with 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases in a season. Right now, in 2023, there are 4 batters with 30 home runs and 30 stolen bases, with Kyle Tucker 1 home run away from making it 5 total players in 2023 to match the last 10 years, which I think is a phenomenal tidbit. The next tidbit, which I think is the best of the day, Lenny might argue.
Go ahead.
Last year, in 2022, San Diego had the best record in baseball in one-run games. They were 30-17.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Okay?
This is great.
Miami finished 24-40 last year. They were 28th in the league.
28.
Okay,
You're talking about one-run games
last year.
Right.
San Diego was the best. Miami was the 28th out of 30. This year, San Diego is the worst. They're 8-23 in one-run games. They finally just won their first game in extra innings just a few days ago.
And who's the best?
Miami.
Exactly reversed from last year.
Do you like that tidbit the best?
Miami's the best in one-run games. San Diego's the worst. And last year, it was just the other way around. That was fantastic. Nice.
What's better, a tidbit or a nugget?
Well, listen.
We don't even know the difference,
I don't
okay?
know the difference.
We don't know the difference between tidbits and nuggets, all right? That's
All right.
it.
Here's a player.
Chris likes nuggets.
Yeah, here's a player. Yeah, nuggets or tidbits. Put it in the chat room. Let us know what you want to call.
And then tell us what's the difference.
And then you got Chris Gallo and his wife and his whole family. Debbie Gallo is here. What do you think of Dansby Swanson?
He's 3 for his last 21. He's batting 143.
Yeah,
and he's playing bad, and he admits it.
He came on as a big surprise this year for the Cubs.
Oh, BS.
I didn't think Dansby Swanson
Give me a break. He
was
was
more
excellent
than
last year.
Was more than a nice player, and he's turned out to be something special. Does anybody in the chat room believe
what's that young guy's name?
Dansby Swanson is going to be special?
What's the young guy's name that his mom brought him to the first pitch for him the first time you met him?
Oh, Derek Carty.
Derek Carty, who does excellent work. He's young, but he's smarter than just about anybody around. He does the statistics, the bat statistics. He told me on my podcast a couple years ago that, and his statistics also showed this, that his projection system is what I'm talking about. He uses all kinds of things, including umpire and everything. Dansby Swanson was going to break out. He told me this 2 or 3 years ago. And then last year before the season, I had him on my show, Saturday Baseball, and we talked about Dansby Swanson. So you can't say that he didn't do anything to be expected to do well this year, but he did get traded last year, so the Cubbies were a new team for him, and he has not been good, and he's pissed off about it. He says he takes all the responsibility. He's been trying very hard. He even used the word frickin'. He said it's definitely something.
Frickin', not frickin', not frickin'.
It says CK, frickin'.
It's frickin'. Oh,
what you said, friggin'?
Friggin'.
Okay, whatever. It's friggin' not working. And he says he's very frustrated, but he is... Look, there's certain times when no matter what you do, you just can't get with it. A lot of it has to do with momentum. I mean, once you get back on after you have that horrible stretch, you can get back in shape. But I'm taking Dansby. That's my whole point. Long story short, I'm taking Dansby. Another bit of bad news for Eddie...
Eddie Heckman, Chris from Cambridge.
And Teresa's here. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you all.
Felix Bautista will have Tommy John surgery, and he's going to miss all of next year.
Wow. Wow. That hurts. Not only does it hurt Felix Bautista owners, but it also hurts the Baltimore Orioles big time.
How does it hurt Felix Bautista owners?
Because he's a tremendous closer. You're not going to have him next year. He'll miss the rest of the year. And likely all of 2024. That's a big hurt. And then Clayton Kershaw, he finished another season as the Dodger leader in wins. Amazing. Innings pitched, number 1. Starts, 24.
Hello, Laura.
That's a reflection of his determination as much as the Dodgers' depleted starting rotation. His next start will be Game 1 of the National League Division Series.
Leonard Donaldson points out it's the
here.
120th birthday for the World Series this year.
Okay.
That's great. Laura, Mary, wonderful to see you. Leonard Donaldson, great to see you too. Everybody, great to see you.
So hasn't thrown a pitch in the sixth inning. This is Kershaw. He has thrown 80 pitches just once in the past 9 starts, but Kershaw just continues to do it.
Yeah, they say
he's going to start Game 1 of the National League Division Series for the Dodgers next Saturday.
Right, and it's going to be the 6th time that he gets to start the first game of Dodgers postseason, but the first time since 2017. I sure hope Kershaw goes to Texas next year. I know he's not like a reliable, hardcore 200-inning guy, but he lives in Texas, and the Rangers could sure use a guy. Anybody could use a guy like Kershaw still.
Well, he led the Dodgers pitching staff in wins. That's a surprise. He led the Dodgers pitching staff in innings. That's a surprise.
Oh, this
and
is too
starts, good. And that's a surprise. What's
this is too good.
That?
Okay, Dodger Danny put up in the chat room what he typed into Google. What's the difference between a tidbit and a nugget? He said, and what he came up with is that a tidbit is a tasty morsel of food or gossip, while a nugget is a small, compact chunk or clump that's countable.
A tasty morsel or a clump? Those are your choices.
Okay, Spencer Strider this
wow.
season. I don't care what anybody says about Strider. He is going to be a bargain based on his ERA alone. This is not like a Garrett Cole 3.86 ERA, okay? His ERA is at least a point higher than his FIP, which would make it a 2.86 ERA, 281 strikeouts, a 20-5 record, but he's not going to be drafted the number 1 pitcher next year.
Who? Kershaw?
Strider. He's not because of that 3.86 ERA, and
exactly.
You really have to go past that in fantasy because ERA, although we use it as a category and it can't be overlooked, it is based upon things that a pitcher cannot control.
It's very hard to spend the extra dollars for a gigantic strikeout guy. The best way to get strikeouts is to make sure that your number 3, 4, and 5 pitchers have enough strikeouts to put you at the top of the category, all right? It's not, you could get, as a matter of fact, Strider had the most strikeouts of any pitcher this year. He actually had one more.
I'm surprised Malpal's not higher on him because I know Malpal drafted him in a lot of leagues. He was much higher on Strider than I was. I didn't think that Strider had enough experience to make me comfortable that he would strike out another 250 batters, but he did it again.
And he beat John Smoltz's record for the most season strikeouts in the history of Atlanta.
Yes, in franchise history, and he got his 20th win.
20th win.
So that could possibly move.
Ronald Acuna, 140, you talk about RBIs and home runs. He had 149 runs this year. That's scoring runs.
Okay, Acuna.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, here's the thing, too. Most RBI out of a leadoff spot and most hits out of a leadoff spot is confusing. Even though I know everybody's swooning over Mookie Betts right now for getting 100, and I guess yesterday he broke the record, 105 hits from the leadoff spot. But I know from your tidbits just last week that Julio Rodriguez is right behind him and has 180 hits on the season, but he didn't bat leadoff all season, but he has at least 102 of his hits came from the leadoff spot. Everybody loves Mookie Betts because it is the most hits out of leadoff ever, but also the most RBIs out of the leadoff spot. Mookie Betts has 107 RBIs from the leadoff spot. He batted leadoff 90% of the season. Julio Rodriguez did not. Yep. So I just say don't forget about Julio on this one because although Mookie Betts did a great job, Ronald Acuna is 1 RBI behind him for the record, most from the leadoff spot in a season since an RBI became an official stat, which is ever. Ronald Acuna 106, Mookie Betts 107, and Ronald Acuna is right on his tail.
Okay, now let's just before I get to the big question. The big question is, what's the biggest surprise statistically this year in Major League Baseball for players?
Well, it's not a surprise. You know he struck out more than any batter in baseball last year?
Hold on a second.
Kyle Schwarber.
But Kyle Schwarber, to me, 47 home runs, and he raised his batting average to 198. Have you ever seen a batter hit 40 plus, 45 plus home runs and bat 198?
Adam Dunn.
That could possibly be. But Juan Soto has reached base now in 32 straight games. What do you think of Soto next? Do you think he's just getting himself ready to have an explosive season? Is Juan Soto going to be a top 3 pick next year?
No.
No?
He's not. He's just not, because he didn't hit enough homers this year to count. But he's still, 32 straight games he's reached base. In that span, he's hit 11 home runs and 33 RBIs with a 345 batting average and a 462 on-base percentage. One of the best things about Soto is his ability to keep those averages and on-base percentages very high. Then you could draft a guy like Schwarber if you need more home runs.
Wow.
Because you got a guy like Juan Soto who's going to get on base all the time.
What's a crazier stat than 47 home runs and batting under 200? Come on. Come up with... I want one person in the chat room to come up with a better stat than hitting 47 home runs or more or less and hitting under 200. It just doesn't happen. Okay. Doesn't happen. What does happen is we got games. And today is the final segment of games, the way we do it. And let me tell you something, my fellow Americans. You
still have this Michael Kopech book in here. What is it about Michael Kopech?
Leave all that. We got a lot more games. We got a lot more shows to do. We're going to talk about Michael Kopech. We're going to talk about you name it.
Keep putting this Michael Kopech book in the notes.
But the thing is that we will not have a chance to do the games like we alone are the only ones who do games like this. Now, maybe on MLB, but they don't do it fantasy-wise.
Soto.
We try to tell you not just this year, but also something it's almost impossible. You got to be a fantasy stalwart to talk about this like we do. We tell you what to do for next year with these players. Next year. All right? But don't
Did you bite your lip, Leonard? You have a purple bruised lip. Did you bite your lip?
Yes.
Okay. Take it easy on yourself.
Okay.
Miguel Cabrera. Okay, but let me just say the chat room's interest in Soto. SM King Turd says Soto is going to be an excellent corner pick, which means at the end of the draft or...
Oh, come on. He's not
at the end of the first round.
He's not lasting till the end of the first round.
All right.
No way.
And then
no
James
way.
K says Soto is not draftable in the first round. And Malpal says expect a career season from him next year because he's playing for a contract. That makes a lot of sense.
Malpal right on the button. Soto's going to be, and don't forget, he was the top, 5 player this year. He was drafted pretty high. And on-base percentage, forget it. He wins that category. So Soto is going to be a top player. All right, Cleveland and Detroit, what do you got? Miguel Cabrera still going. 1 for 4 with a double, batting .260. Okay? Look, he plays his final game today, and that's the same day that Terry Francona manages his final game. And Andy told you yesterday she's in the dugout on the field. She's talking to Francona. She was at the press conference where it looked like he was just talking to you.
Oh, give me a break. Okay, Cabrera went 1 for 4 with the double. He's batting .260 with 4 homers and 34 RBIs. That's not good stats. But he played in he's going to play his finale game today. Then he's going to retire. Same for Francona. Detroit moved 1 game ahead of Cleveland. The Tigers are 8-4 against the Guardians this season and hold the tiebreaker should they finish with the same record nobody cares about. Tristan McKenzie, 1 run, 3 hits, and 3 walks in 4 1/3. And Detroit, amazingly enough.
Do you care about Tristan McKenzie for next year?
I might take a look at him.
We'll definitely take a look at him. All right, go ahead.
Detroit pitched its 9th shutout. Cleveland was blanked for the 13th time, and tonight you get to see Giolito against Eduardo Rodriguez, who can opt out of his contract's final 3 seasons and become a free agent, which would make him give up $49 million in guaranteed salary. What are the chances that he gives up his $49 million?
He's absolutely going to give it up.
No, he's not.
Because he's going to get more.
Do you remember when they tried to trade him and he said no, he's staying?
He's staying in L.A.
No, Detroit. He plays for Detroit.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. L.A. wanted him. But he's staying in. He's not staying in.
Give me a break. Vladdy Jr. and the Blue Jays are going to the playoffs for the 2nd straight season.
And don't forget, I'm predicting the Blue Jays against the Phillies in the World Series.
It's going to be
Blue Jays, Phillies, World Series. You can't do that.
Yes, I can.
All right. She's trying to... She's just not even...
Do it for me.
Okay. There you go.
Baltimore Orioles against... Do it again. The Braves.
That's right.
The Orioles against the Braves.
There you go.
Thank you. Toronto did lose 7-5 to Taylor Walls and the Rays in 10 innings, but the Blue Jays clinched when Seattle lost 6-1 to Texas. The Blue Jays were swept by the Mariners in the wild card round last year, and they also earned a wild card in 2020, but were swept that postseason. Toronto hasn't won a postseason game since 2016.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. They're tied with Houston in the wild card standings after the Astros completed a 1-0 win over the Diamondbacks. And Tampa Bay's Junior Caminero.
If you guys think that Rodriguez is opting out of $49 million.
He's opting out. He's going to get more.
How is he going to get more for 3 years?
As a free agent, he'll get more.
You think he's going to get paid $15 million a year?
I think Rodriguez opts out.
It's more than that. It's $18 million a year.
Absolutely.
No, I guarantee he's not. Doubt. Somebody help me.
Junior Caminero drove in a run in the 10th, said the Rays enjoyed sending a sellout crowd home unhappy. Okay.
No.
No?
The Rays, yeah. Okay. Davinsky, we talked about.
Yeah.
What about Dalton Varsho? Homer drove in 3 runs. Varsho hit his 20th. What do you think of Varsho?
He was a
he was overrated too much in fantasy.
And it was all because of him being eligible to catch. I don't believe Dalton Varsho will be eligible to catch this year. So how much do you think he's going to go for?
I have no idea. But
I'll say $9.
Wow, he went for at least 20 last year.
Well, that's because he was eligible to catch.
Okay,
I think
Joey
he's going
Meneses.
for less Joey Meneses.
This guy, Boston Paul, telling me I'm wrong. The guy is guest Jay Meneses fan club now. He changed his name. I mean, people are going to start wondering about this guy, dude.
Yeah, I've already started wondering about him. What do you mean we're going to start?
But I'm wrong. You're right about Eduardo Rodriguez. You think he's going to get paid more than $17 million a year to play somewhere else. Good luck with that. Especially since he refused to even leave the team when he could have gone to a winning team.
No, it's not about winning. It's about money.
Okay.
Varsho homered off of Cooper Criswell. His 20th. 20 home runs. And his value is going to go down.
Okay.
His value will not be as good as it was last year. Eligible for catcher.
All right. Ryu allowed 2 runs and 7 hits in 3 innings. It was his shortest start of the season. They're keeping him fresh. The Rays are 7-5 in extra innings. Toronto is 10-9. Now, one good thing, we talk about the Phillies and the Mets game.
Yeah,
Tyler McGill out there was unveiling his attempt at throwing Kodai Senga's ghost fork pitch.
Yeah.
All right. He used this new pitch for the first time and threw a career-high 7 1/3.
Wow.
And the Mets beat the Phillies 4-3 in the opener of a doubleheader. McGill gave up 4 hits and struck out 7, and he did throw a handful of those split-fingered fastballs he learned from Kodai Senga. And that's pretty fun, and that could help him. I mean, he did good using them.
I have always said, if you discover a player is throwing a new pitch, got a new batting stance, doing something different, and that difference helps him.
Good morning, Merrill.
Who's there?
Merrill.
Merrill is there. Pick him up. Well, here you are. Let's see if it works. He's announced a new pitch. He pitched well. If it continues in the spring, look out.
Omar Narvaez homered, and Taijuan Walker went 7 innings, finished the season with a career-high 172 and two-third innings in 31 starts. His ERA in the first inning is 7.05, but a 3.81 in subsequent innings. He's going to be cheap again next year because of that ERA, and I'm going to keep taking him because you can't pass up a guy that can throw 172 and two-thirds innings late in your draft.
Yes, no kidding.
Now, game 2.
Well, Francisco Alvarez hit his first grand slam, has more homers before turning 22 than any catcher since Johnny Bench.
Yeah.
So he
has 26 career homers, 16 fewer than Bench. But his first homer, and this is why Alvarez has a bad side too. He's great defensively, and he does hit homers.
And he was 0 for 23.
He was 0 for 23 until he hit that homer. But still, you got to give him credit where credit is due. Reed Garrett struck out 4 over 3 innings. He got his first big league win in relief of Quintana, who struck out 5 in 4 innings.
And you did it again.
What, with
you
Trey Turner?
Overlooked Francisco Lindor having a fantastic year, 30-30, okay, right?
I did it again.
Everybody does it. He's been getting overlooked all year. His 31st homer. How many stolen bases? He's got a lot of steals.
Let's see what he has.
Pretty unbelievable.
Let's look at
Francisco Lindor. So the question now becomes, what are we paying for Lindor next year? He's going to be like a $27, $28 player with all the stolen bases and all the home run. What does he have stolen base-wise?
I'll tell you when I post it.
I think he's got about 30, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm posting it now.
Okay, Trey Turner had a bruised left elbow, but he's not going to play today. No big deal. So be careful and start watching Tyler Miguel, who could be a very good pitcher, making a change. And if it works, as per my instructions, you always try to pick him up.
Yes.
Go ahead. Florida and Pittsburgh.
The Marlins' improbable September push will carry into October with Jazz Chisholm hitting his 19th home run.
Is he a first-round pick next year with the stolen bases and the home runs?
I wish he would stay healthy, and then he would, because he does have 5-tool potential, but he doesn't stay healthy. Josh Bell delivered a late 2-run double. The Marlins clinched the 4th playoff berth in franchise history. They beat the Pirates 7-3. They locked down one of the remaining 2 wildcard spots. A.J. Puck and 7 other relievers kept the Pirates in check.
A.J. Puck is pitching tremendous.
Puck is a punk.
But what is he to Puck you? But what is he? What is he pitching? What is he going to be next year? What's Puck going to be next year?
Puig.
What?
Puig.
All right, don't confuse me.
Whatever became of Yasiel Puig.
All right, A.J. Puck is going to be a closer next year.
He couldn't really fit into the American way of life.
And Tanner Scott, the big one, 12th save, struck out the side in the 9th.
John Birdie had 3 hits, started the go-ahead rally with the leadoff walk in the 6th. Now, Endy Rodriguez had 3 hits and drove in a run. Jared Triolo and Cabrian Hayes added 2 hits each. Brian Reynolds provided an RBI single, and then Priester, he was a first-round pick in 2019. He did do pretty good, 5 1/3 innings, and he does try to position himself for a spot in the rotation next year. He allowed 4 runs on 10 hits with a walk and 3 strikeouts. He didn't finish his rookie season well. 7.74 ERA in 10 games and 7 starts. Now,
can Luis Arraez raise his batting average on the last day of the season to 400?
Well, he didn't play yesterday.
He's batting 354. I don't think so.
He's got a ankle problem, and he didn't play yesterday.
But had a great season.
He's going to become the first MLB player in history to win batting titles in different leagues in consecutive seasons.
Well, and how much are we paying for him in fantasy next year?
I don't know.
Is he like a $13, $14 player? Maybe. And that's it. He's not getting a lot of fantasy value. Yan Gomes hit a grand slam, but the Cubs were knocked out of the playoffs with a victory over Milwaukee Saturday night. The Cubs were 10 games below 500 in early June. They rebounded in a big way, but still, then came September, and the September swoon.
Before they won yesterday, the Cubs had lost 4 in a row by a total of 5 runs. They also dropped 9 straight road games. Christopher Morel, 431-foot home run. Yan Gomes, 10th homer. And then 2 batters later, Patrick Wisdom hit a homer, but the Cubs blew a 6-0 lead for the second time in 5 nights. They're falling apart at the seams.
That's right. The Manassas fan club still sitting there, wondering what's going to happen next. Nico Horner was rested. Horner will be a good player next year, provided he plays second base. Once again, I've talked about it many times. He plays a different player at second base than he does at shortstop. I know that happened to me when I played. I understand it. It's a mental thing. Remember, 50% of baseball is 90% mental. Go.
50% of baseball is 90% mental, so it's about 35%
No, don't.
mental.
You can't do it that way. Yankees clinched their 31st straight winning season. Big freaking deal. They beat Kansas City.
Taillon combined with Wisniewski and Assad for 7 1/3 scoreless innings in relief of Wicks. Tonight, Justin Steele, he's 16-5 with a 3.08 ERA going against Adrian Hauser. Justin Steele, is his last outing today going to affect his price next year?
Wait, so what game are you on?
I'm still on the Cubbies game.
Oh, I know that. I'm talking about Kansas City and the Yankees, so speed it up. Frankie Montas got the win out of his bullpen.
Suck on it.
Suck on it?
Yes, Leonard.
Well, we'll do a podcast about sucking on it, okay? Montas earned the win. Gleyber Torres drove in a pair of runs during a 3-run inning. I'll tell you what.
Oswaldo Cabrera, who didn't get an opportunity. Esteban Florial didn't get an opportunity. And Everson Pereira, they all drove in runs for the Yankees. Clay Holmes, perfect night, 24th save and 27 chances. Steven Cruz was the opener, and he was replaced by Alec Marsh. He allowed 3 runs, 6 hits, and 3 walks over 4 1/3 innings for Kansas City, which fell now to 55 and 106, and matched the 2005 teams for the most losses in a season in club history.
Now, Bobby Witt was thrown out trying to steal second, tying Ronald Acuna for the Major League lead with 14.
Witt needs 1 steal to become the 4th player in big league history with 50 in a season and 30 homers.
Unbelievable.
Michael King goes against Greinke, who I'm assuming this is his last start of his career tonight. Greinke.
Yeah, that's a good one. Probably
He's 39 years old. He's going to be a free agent after finishing his 20th big league season. We give a lot of credit to Greinke. He hasn't been good recently. That's why I don't think he'll come back. But he still could. I mean, when a pitcher stays in too long, it just screws them over to get into the Hall of Fame because their career ERA goes up. Yeah. All their stats start to look
and mentally, he's not the same stud that he used to be.
He's never been great mentally. But
White Sox lost 100 games for the first time since 2008. And I drafted Ha-Sung Kim, and I was upset with that. And he had 4 hits.
And the Padres beat them 6-1. They beat the White Sox. Big freaking deal. Michael Wacha struck out 7, walked 1, 3 hits, 7 scoreless innings. The Padres are actually going to finish the season above 500 if they win today. If they don't win today, they'll finish the season 81 and 81. If they win today, they'll finish the season 82 and 80. All right? And they're finally above 500 for the first time since May 10th.
Okay, and you like Mike Clevenger. He was roughed up.
All right. I wouldn't know if I like him that much, but I don't dislike him.
Yes, you do. You like him because he's friends with what's his name?
I think he learned a lot of good pitching from him. He pitched great in Cleveland, but he stunk in San Diego.
What's going to happen with that guy, by the way, with Burns? What's his name again?
Who? What are you talking about?
What's going to happen with the guy who hasn't played? Burns?
Bauer?
Yeah, Bauer.
He pitches in Japan now.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to stay there because nobody wants him on their team because they're too
All right.
busy.
Okay, good. Thank you all in the chat room.
All right.
It's been a great
The White
season
Sox
for wait a second. It's been a great season for the chat room. You're supporting us, and we're not stopping. We'll be back again tomorrow, next week, the whole thing. Who knows what's going to happen with the Sunday show? We'll have to figure it out. Go ahead.
The White Sox reached 100 losses for the 5th time, and they've lost 14 of 20. They have the 4th worst record in the majors. They joined Oakland and Kansas City to give the American League 3 100-loss teams for the first time not that long ago, 2019, Baltimore, Detroit, and the Royals again. Clevenger, shortest outing of the season. But here's the thing about him. He was 6-4 with a 2.76 ERA in his previous 12 starts. So, yes, he got roughed up yesterday, but he's not horrible. I'll draft him same way I'll draft Taijuan Walker, okay?
And then the White Sox, they started the season. I liked them. I loved them.
I know you
And
did.
then they fell into a slump, and then they traded Jake Berger to Miami. They traded Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly to the Dodgers. They traded Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez. They just blew up the team, and it didn't work at all.
They entered yesterday 29th in the majors in runs scored and 26th in ERA. We know San Diego is not going to make the playoffs. Tonight you get to see Pedro Avila and Miguel Urena.
Okay.
Ryan Mountcastle hit a tie-breaking RBI double in the 7th inning and scored on an infield hit to lead the Orioles to their 101st win of the season, 5-2 over the last place Red Sox.
What happened to King Hap?
It's Boston Paul who likes the Red Sox now.
Boston Paul, okay.
Orioles they're going to host the American League Division Series starting in 6 days. They're finishing their winningest season since going 102-57 in 1979, Eddie and Teresa. Cutter Crawford allowed 1 hit in 6 innings. Jorge Mateo stole second standing up. Mountcastle doubled to right. Kyle Gibson, 7 hits in 5 scoreless innings. Trevor Story's RBI single against Jack Flaherty cut Baltimore's lead 2-1. Before Story's hit, Boston had 10 hits without scoring any runs. Go ahead.
And think about Winkowski next year. He's among the major league leaders with 83 relief innings. Winkowski will be a starter next year.
Alex Cora said after the game.
Winkowski will be a starter.
Yeah. So last year, Gibson, for the Phillies, was in the bullpen for the postseason, but right now he leads the Orioles with 15 wins and 192 innings. They say his place in the postseason rotation isn't certain, but that's a bunch of bull dinky. How could they not use Gibson in the postseason rotation?
They'll use him somewhere.
I mean, they might need him in the bullpen. I don't know, because Felix Bautista, that's a loss. There's still great bullpen.
Good point.
Tanner Houck against Kyle Bradish. Kyle Bradish, 12-7 with the 2.86 ERA. And I will tell this little secret.
Phenomenal fantasy
It's
pick.
one of Malpal's big breakouts for next year. You'll have to listen to the podcast to get more, but Bradish is right up there with the formula.
And don't forget, if you'd like the podcast, it could be baseball, football, basketball, it could be anything. Come on aboard. We're here to have fun. Join the family of podcasters, and let's do a good job. Cincinnati and St. Louis. Cincinnati's bid to become the 3rd team to make the playoffs after a loss of 100 games
in a season.
In a season,
they
ended. Were eliminated in the 7th inning. St. Louis wins handily, 15-6.
The Reds fell behind 11-0 by the 3rd inning. Cincinnati out-hit the Cardinals 14-13, and rookie Noelvi Marte, his first 4-hit game for the Reds. Connor Phillips just lasted 12 pitches, and every single one of them were balls. St. Louis scored its most runs in a first inning this season. Newbar, 3-run homer. Jose Furman, 2-run double.
Cardinals are going to be making wholesale changes in the offseason. Everybody's going. Nobody is being protected. They'll trade whoever they can, whenever they can, for whatever they can.
They're trying to avoid losing 92 games for the first time since 1990, and they'll finish last in the division for the first time since then.
And we've got a sold-out chat room.
And
once
tonight,
again.
Hunter Green is 2-4 with the 3.23 ERA in his career against St. Louis, going up against Miles Mikolas. You still like that guy?
No.
Okay,
It's about like him.
Well, you've liked him for,
and
there was never a reason to like him.
He's been okay. The Rangers are back in the postseason for the first time since 2016. They beat the Mariners, who we really thought were going to go far, but I don't know. You still think the Mariners are going to get Ohtani? So that could be.
It doesn't matter. It's
What do
all
you mean
just
it
based
doesn't
on
matter?
hope. I want the Mariners to get him. I
Okay.
think he'd fit in good there. I know. I mean, they do a lot of Japanese television over there, and the Mariners are a great place for Ohtani to be, in my opinion. It doesn't mean bull dinky.
Texas can claim the American League West title and the number 2 seed in the American League playoffs with a win over the Mariners in the regular season final, or a loss by Houston. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Texas can claim the AL West title and the number 2 seed in the AL playoffs if they win over the Mariners in the regular season finale, or if Houston loses at Arizona today.
Look at this chat room, just hanging in there. Tim Haney learned late Friday that he would get the call after John Gray went on the injured list with a forearm strain, but I got to tell you, the Rangers, 9th postseason appearance for the Rangers.
Good morning, Zelmo and Tony.
Hey, good morning. But after reaching the playoffs for 5 times, it's been a rough stretch for Texas.
It's the 9th postseason appearance for the Rangers, but after reaching the playoffs 5 times between 2010 and 2016, it's been a rough stretch. But listen to what Bochy has done. Bochy deserves a lot of credit.
Yes, he does.
The turnaround with Bochy as manager has been dramatic. Texas reached 90 wins for the 9th time in franchise history, and the Rangers already have made a 22-game improvement over last season when they finished with 68 wins. Bochy is the 12th manager to take 3 different teams to the postseason after previously going to the playoffs with San Francisco and San Diego. Castillo, not a good game.
Oh, he was my top pitcher coming into the
He didn't do good.
into the season.
It was his shortest start in a 1.5 seasons with the Mariners.
Not good.
He was pulled after 2 2/3. It was tied for the second shortest start of his career. He had pitched at least 5 innings in his previous 32 starts this season, but he just nibbled too much on the edges and found himself in trouble.
What about Rodriguez?
Julio.
He
was hitless. 4 bats hitless. He's 1 for 21 on Seattle's final homestand. If you want to blame somebody for the Mariners getting out, it's got to be Julio and his horrible little final run here. I like him a lot. Suarez hit his 22nd homer, and that was Seattle's only run. Tonight it's George Kirby, but the Rangers haven't announced a starter. Okay, don't even go to this game. I hate this game. I hate Marcell Ozuna more than anybody. Okay?
What, he had to go
37 homers for this guy this year.
Spencer Strider's
You know I dropped
20th
him.
win. I know you dropped him.
Is there anybody that feels this much pain as I do? It's just...
All right, Strider, the Major League Baseball leader in strikeouts and wins, got off to a rough start, but he came on. He may not be the number 1 pitcher next year. Are you going to take Strider or Garrett Cole? Strider or Garrett Cole?
What do you think?
Garrett Cole.
Oh, good grief.
No?
No, I'm taking Strider.
Okay.
I'll take anybody over Cole.
Anybody over Cole. Okay. So the Braves need 3 homers to break the record of 307.
And they're not playing their best right now because they're just resting. They know they're already in. It seems like they're giving up on the 3 home runs.
Well, you know what? That's not a
Can they
big deal.
please hit it today?
Raciel Iglesias got his 33rd save and 37 chances. And Strider struck out 3 in the first to set a franchise record for strikeouts in a single season. He passed Hall of Famer John Smoltz. Okay. So is it a Cy Young Award? He leads the majors with 281 strikeouts. And Strider had a great one, no question about it. and Acuna stole second in the third to set the Braves' modern-era stolen base record with his 73rd, one more than Otis Nixon had in 1991.
Turd dropped Ozuna and Bellinger.
Wow.
So I feel better.
Go ahead.
Your misery loves company. You know that?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Astros and the Diamondbacks.
Okay, Leonard.
Look, the chat room is just... Thank you,
The
chat room.
Diamondbacks celebrated their return to the postseason with the typical party. They got in the swimming pool, whatever it is. They had champagne and everything. And the Houston Astros also made it, but they didn't celebrate at all because they're used to making it. Verlander threw 5 innings. Jose Abreu hit a run-scoring double. The Astros beat the Diamondbacks 1-0, but both teams clinched spots in the playoffs, and the Astros still have plenty to play for. They could clinch the AL West and a first-round bye week with a win and a Texas loss. They're just the third team in Major League Baseball history to go from a 110-plus loss season to a playoff berth in a 3-season span, joining this year's Orioles and the Astros. Merrill Kelly went 7 innings, giving up 5 hits and 2 walks. He struck out 5.
And you mentioned Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, 1 homer from joining the 30-30 club.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Verlander and Phil Niekro. They're both 12th on the career strikeouts list with 3,342 strikeouts. But Verlander needed 2,000 less innings than Phil Niekro to get there, which is interesting. Okay. J.P. France was back at the ballpark after he was scratched on Friday because of a family emergency. France told reporters that he is available out of the bullpen. Now, Trevor Larnach hit his first career grand slam. It was one of Minnesota's 4 home runs, and the playoff-bound Twins...
France is not a bad pick next year for a couple of dollars. What?
I'm hot.
You're sweating.
I know.
What is going on?
I'm having hot flashes.
Good.
Take over, Leonard.
Trevor Larnach? I'm sitting next to a beautiful blonde who's sweating because she's screaming about baseball. That's...
No, because I'm having hot flashes.
No, you're not flash. I'm having hot flashes.
You don't even know what a hot flash is.
Yes, I do. Trevor Larnach hit the first career grand slam, one of Minnesota's 4 home runs. Minnesota beat Colorado 14-6. Edward Julian, you better learn who he is. He had 3 hits in his 16th home run. Max Kepler also went deep. Unbelievable. And Chris Paddock, he's going to be back next year. Gave up 2 hits, struck out 4, 3 complete innings, his longest outing since...
Chris Paddock, what do you think?
He tossed 2 innings Tuesday in his first game back. He's
Saturday. In the bullpen.
He's in the bullpen.
But remember when he had a good season?
Yeah, he could be a very interesting $1 or $2 player next year.
Minnesota blew it open in the 6th on an RBI double by Julian, a wild pitch that brought Michael A. Taylor and Kepler's 3-run homer, which was Kepler's 24th homer of the season. Tonight you get to see Bailey Ober and Chase Anderson. The last game, or 2 more games.
Go ahead.
Clayton Kershaw lost for the first time since May, allowing the go-ahead run.
Max Muncy misplayed a potential inning double play.
Clayton Kershaw lost?
Yeah.
The Dodgers beat the Giants 2-1.
Oh, really? What game are you looking at?
I don't know. Who won yesterday, Dodger Danny? You need to tell me.
I don't know. In a 2-1 defeat to the San Francisco Giants.
Oh, they lost. Okay.
Yeah, they lost. Come on, man.
But Dave Roberts did say Kershaw's in line to start the division playoffs. They let him go out into the 6th inning, which is like the first time in a long time that he's even pitched anything in the 6th inning. But Roberts
he wanted to get Kershaw's into his mindset into pitching deeper into games. Okay?
Yeah, Camilo Doval got his 39th save, 47 chances. Bobby Miller goes against Kyle Harrison. Bobby Miller allowed a career-high 7 runs in his last start against the Giants. The Giants are going to start a rookie pitcher for the 3rd straight game. And even with a 2-run deficit in the 8th inning of the 161st game of a 111-loss season, the Athletics were still fighting. And their manager...
fighting hard, yeah. Shea Langoliers hitting a tie-breaking 3-run homer.
And the A's scored 5 runs in the 8th inning. They beat the Angels 7-3. Your boy Zach Geloff homered, and he added 2 late RBI singles for the A's.
Good player next year, $12, $13
It's their franchise's worst season since 1916.
And he'll produce better. It's just that people don't know him, so they won't spend that kind of money. Geloff.
You like Geloff.
Geloff.
Logan O'Hoppe.
O'Hoppe, right.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's O'Hoppe.
He hit a 2-run homer in the Angels' 3-run 7th off of Boyle, who had thrown 6 hitless innings for Oakland in his 3rd big league appearance. Ohtani was back in the dugout, right? So all that hoopla from the Vultures is nonsense.
And Nolan Shanuel drew a leadoff walk 29 straight games to begin his career to get on base.
Right. And Nolan
O'Hoppe followed his 14th home run. I'll tell you what, he's had a great season. A great season. He's going to work. And Ruiz stole his 66th base.
Okay.
Go ahead. Keep on scrolling. I'm done.
JP Sears will start the last game of the season today for Oakland. The Angels haven't announced a starter because they all quit.
Yippee-ki-yay.
And went home.
Thank you, everybody. You're the best in the business.
Yes.
Brewers Jim, Chris from Cambridge, Chris from Gallo, Danny Fuller, Eddie Heckman. What about Danny Fuller's
Penny?
Penny. What about Chris Gallo's wife?
Debbie.
What about Leonard Donaldson? What about Laura?
And Mary.
And Malpal. And
Tina. And Zelmo and Tony.
And SM King Turd.
And
Tommy
Triple Play.
Johnson. And Triple Play.
And Turd Jr.
And don't forget.
And Turd Juniorette.
If you want to do a podcast or do some writing, get in touch with me. We're going to have a ball. We'll be back tomorrow with the regular daily podcast. We'll be back next Sunday with who the hell knows what. But we're not missing any time. Why? Because we love it. Not because it's making us rich. Because we love it. So
because you haven't found anything better to do
I got
with your
nothing
time.
else to do. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you again tomorrow.
Bye.